Third Gen here, and it is going to be a wrestling vlog, of course, as always. Yeah. Um, as you know, I've been doing a little top five series. I don't. I mean, I guess my opinion don't matter a lot in wrestling, but um, today I was going to do my top five WrestleMania matches, but I kind of steered away from that uh, because everybody does their top five favorite WrestleMania things. So I was thinking about doing my top five favorite pay-per-views. I'm talking about the whole pay-per-view in itself, not just a match here or a match there. And I would have to say one of my favorite pay-per-views, which number five would be the first World 3. Now, a lot of the matches, there was a couple matches in it that were subpar, I guess you can say, but the reason why I like that pay-per-view is because it was a groundbreaking pay-per-view. I mean, not really have you seen three rings in a match, but 60 guys in one match. Um, I think at the time the biggest battle royal was actually held by the WWE. It was like 40 guys. Yeah, it was like 40 guys at one time in one ring. And, you know, at the time, that was like the biggest battle royal, well, that I can really know of that actually has like video proof that it exists. There could be, independents could have had a lot bigger, battle royals that I don't know of. Now, the Royal Rumble and Battle Royal are totally different things. Battle Royal, everybody's in the ring at the same time. Royal Rumble, interval entrance. And World War III, you had three rings, 60 guys, 20 guys in each ring, and they kind of took the whole Battle Royal, Royal Rumble aspect of if you're thrown over the top rope, you have to touch the floor. Both feet touch the floor. And then it kind of progressed to where in World War III, because that was taking so long, you could submit, pin, or if you just got if you were thrown out of the ring. So that kind of, made them go a little faster. But this particular one, of course, the first one had controversy. With Hogan being drugged under the bum rope by the Giant, referee not seeing it, and Randy Savage winning without Hulk Hogan being eliminated. And of course, everyone knew Hulk Hogan was going to be one of the last people in there. I mean, the typical people that were at the end were there. The Giant, Sting, Luger, Savage, and Hogan. But also, you like Malenko and a few others that were there at the end, and it was a damn good match. I mean, the concept was cool. It was kind of hard to follow because of where they would have three different cameras, and it really wasn't a good view. I mean, nowadays it'd be bad as shit to watch because as big as TVs get, you could actually follow them. But back in the day, if you had a small TV, you were kind of sitting there like this, trying to figure out what was going on. And then every now and then they'd break away and go to, a normal, like a one camera on a ring. And, they had to proclaim three giants. I mean, you had Hogan, who was in one of them. I mean, there was a couple of people in that ring that were bigger than Hogan, but, the name, I guess, is considered the Giant. Of course, the Giant, or Big Show, Paul White, whatever you know him by, he was Giant. And then the Yeti, who would later on become Big Ron Studd, or Ron Reese, or Reese in the flock, the real big Mohawk. He was known as the Yeti, or he looked like a big, giant, yellow and black scorpion ninja. I mean, big dude. I mean, he moved for a big dude. I can say that. But he was almost as big as the Giant. So, and that match really showcased a lot of people that you normally wouldn't see really kicking ass in that match. Like Guerrero, Mysterio, a lot of the little guys, what they would call mid-carders, really showed themselves in that match. So that was number five. Number four would have to be I'd have to say Backlash. I think it was the 2002. I think. Let me read. Nah, I'm not gonna because I was gonna do the review in itself, but I mean, because that was the first pay per view after WrestleMania, and that usually topped WrestleMania matches. And but if I had to go with one, I would have to go with the damn. There's so many pay per views. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. If I had to go with another pay per view, it'd probably be WrestleMania 17. That was one of the best WrestleManias in history. Um, Widely considered one of the best WrestleManias before I think this past one, before 31. Because everyone's considering one of the best WrestleMania of all time, and it was a great WrestleMania. But 17, from the first match to the last bell, the last match, it was just a hell of a pay per view. It was just amazing. Um, you had Rock and Austin, you had the gimmick battle royal, you had so many matches that were just like wow. It was just amazing. It really was. Let's see. Another pay-per-view. I can't really say on one certain year, but I would have to say Fall Brawl War Games. That's collective would be one of my favorite pay-per-views for simple fact of War Games. There's a very cool. It was Hell in a Cell before Hell in a Cell was Hell in a Cell. You had two teams between I think it was 4 and 5 guys on each team. Matter of fact, I think it's on 12 WWE 12 during the Jacob Cast storyline. You actually wrestle War Games the way they wrestle War Games back in the day. Except for it was just wearing inside Hell in a Cell. If you're not used to WCW, if you're not really fans of wrestling from back in the day, quick, little history on it. War Games was, two teams of between 4 and 5 guys. Usually had a manager or an advisor, which was either an actual manager or another wrestler who wasn't wrestling on a pay-per-view at the time. And what it was is it usually ended up being two guys who were having a big feud at the time, between a face and a heel, and the face and the heels would usually go get a team. Usually, sometimes if it was like the tag team that was like two tag teams that were feuding at the time, or it was a couple, like a bunch of singles wrestlers having a feud at the time, they would actually make that their team, and then they would go on in War Games. Now, how it started is you had two guys from each team starting it off, and it didn't have to necessarily be the captain. Sometimes it was the captain, sometimes it wasn't. And it was a 5-minute period, and these two guys would beat the living shit out of each other. Within 5 minutes, you can see some of them were gassed, and if you're not used to that wrestling term, you're blowed up. If you're not used to that term, it means you're fucking tired already, sweating, and you're already, And then they would have a coin toss. Now, there was only one coin toss, and that was for the second segment, and then it would follow a suit of who would come in. And usually they'd flip a coin, and the team that won the coin toss got to go in next, so it'd be a 2-on-1 advantage. And then after that, the other team would be 2-on-2, then it would go to 3-on-2, then 3-on-3, then 4-on-3, then 4-on-4. If there was 5, it'd go on and so forth. And the match didn't necessarily actually start until all men were in the ring, both teams. And then you had to make someone submit off the other team for a win. So say like you had 4 guys on each team, all 8 guys were in the ring, and you happen to be a submission wrestler, and you lock on your submission, and that person gave up, you win. The team would win that. And it was a great it was a great match and a lot of feuds. That's what kind of Hell in a Cell was. That's what kind of cage matches were doing, and then ended the Hell in a Cell, and that kind of ended some feuds, and then so on and so forth. Or it ended the feud at that time. I think WWE bring that because of the just the like just the way some wrestlers like some factions are. You have like the Authority, have like their own team, and then who, and then like Brock Lesnar would have his team to go against the Authority, or so on and so forth. So yeah, that was number 4. Number 3, I would have to say, now it would be a particular year, would be No Way Out, the first Elimination Chamber match. The reason why, another inventive match. You had Shawn Michaels, Booker T, Kane, Rob Van Dam, Triple H, and Chris Jericho. And the match was just brutal. I mean, the next night on Raw, not one guy wasn't either limping or bruised up or banged up or anything. Hell, Triple H almost died during that match because he had a truss trachea and he couldn't breathe. He kept passing out, everything like that. And because of RVD jumping off the pod. And very seldom have you ever seen a match like that start and they utilize the whole thing. So, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's see, another pay-per-view. Now, I'm a huge fan of Survivor Series. This is going to be my number 2. But I'm a fan of the Survivor Series that had that whole pay-per-view was traditional Survivor Series tag matches. Meaning between 4 to 10 guys on a team and they would wrestle. And it was amazing. Loved it because you just didn't know. You just didn't know what would happen. And then they kind of shied away from that, and the Survivor Series has made 1 or 2 traditional tag matches like that, and then that's it. And some are singles matches, and to me that's not Survivor Series. But if I had to pick a Survivor Series, it would definitely be 1990. 92, 93. Hell, I'll just say from the first Survivor Series to the 1997. Yeah, 97. All them Survivor Series, I just love the pay-per-view because of the aspect of the traditional tag matches. Now, let's see. Number 1. My number 1 pay-per-view of all time. Would have to be the 2001 Survivor Series. Because of that time, it was the Invasion storyline. WWE versus WCW and ECW. And you had Team WWE, you had the Brothers of Destruction, and you had Jericho, and you had The Rock, and alliance with Steve Austin, and just it was just an amazing match, a long match too. And then at the end, Kurt Angle comes in, bangs the living hell out of Steve Austin. 1, 2, 3, alliance is over, and they could have really ran with that for a while, but but it was to me it was kind of a subpar storyline, but it had a lot of great moments in it, especially just moments of like WCW invading the WWE. Who would have thought? It was just amazing, and it was a great storyline while it lasted. And then the next night on Raw, Austin comes out. He was a heel, and then he comes out on Raw the next night, takes out from Ric Flair, who at the time became the part owner of the WWE. It was great. And then Austin become a face again, taking the belt off Ric Flair. So that's my top 5 pay-per-view. I know it's kind of all over the place. I really didn't think it through before I did this video. So, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, favorite, all that fun shit. I love you guys. Thank you for watching this. And as always, with Third Gen Devil, rock on.